From the KUOW newsroom, this is Seattle Now. I'm Ruby DeLuna with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Tuesday, October 28th. We're learning more today about layoffs at Amazon. Thousands of corporate workers received layoff notices today, though fewer than the 30,000 job cuts projected in news reports on Monday. Monica Nicholsberg has more.
Amazon told about 14,000 corporate employees that they would be let go within 90 days. The company said even though it's doing well, it needs to streamline operations and increase efficiency. Amazon didn't blame artificial intelligence, though its CEO Andy Jassy has said in the past that will impact headcount. Employees at Amazon say the regular rounds of layoffs over the past few years have hurt morale and required them to do more work with fewer people. The message to employees today suggested Amazon will be looking for additional ways to increase efficiency and remove bureaucracy in the new year. Monica Nicholsberg, KUOW News.
We'll get an in-depth report from Monica on the Amazon layoffs coming up later in the show. In other local tech news, Facebook parent company Meta has announced it's eliminating more than 100 jobs in Seattle, Bellevue, and Redmond. They include software engineers, product managers, AI researchers, and data scientists. Meta says it'll try to find jobs within the company for the affected workers. Washington is joining 22 other states suing to block the Trump administration's suspension of federal food aid. It comes as nearly 900,000 Washingtonians could lose basic food assistance benefits this week as the government shutdown continues. Attorney General Nick Brown's office says the U.S. Department of Agriculture has SNAP-specific contingency funds in case of a shutdown, and the federal government is making a, quote, deliberate, illegal, and inhumane choice in not funding the program. A banner at the top of the USDA's website states that the financial well for SNAP has run dry, and Senate Democrats are to blame for the pause in funding. A lawsuit over the 2020 shooting death of a teenager in Seattle's CHOP protest zone is heading to court next week. The suit has produced footage that seems to contradict police claims that Antonio Mays Jr. was firing gunshots. Instead, a city-commissioned analysis finds the shots were more likely aimed at Mays. KUOW's Will James has been reporting on the case in partnership with the Seattle Times. He says Mays' father filed suit in part to get answers.
However, it is possible that the lawsuit gets thrown out or settled in the next few days. And so this trove of documents may be the last in-depth look that we get at the events of that night.
The 16-year-old Mays died from his wounds later that night. His 14-year-old companion was injured but survived. You can read the full story at KUOW.org, and we'll have much more on this story tomorrow morning on Seattle Now. State Public Lands Commissioner Dave Upthegrove says budget cuts are putting Washington at risk when it comes to future fire seasons.
This last year, due to tough budget times, the funding we have for wildfire prevention and response was cut in half. If that funding isn't restored, we're going to see more fires, bigger fires, and more cost to taxpayers.
State officials say nearly 2,000 fires destroyed approximately 250,000 acres this fire season. Fortunately, 94% of them were brought under control before they grew to 10 acres. Meanwhile, the largest fires burning in the state since the summer are mostly contained thanks to the recent heavy rain. As the government shutdown continues, many scientists are waiting on grant reviews and payments from federal agencies. Federal grants pay for years-long research projects at colleges and universities throughout Washington. The grants rely on review panels for approval, and the shutdown has paused the reviews. UW Vice Provost for Research, Mari Ostendorf, says the delays can stall studies and lead to brain drain.
When you have a long gap, it's harder to maintain those valuable employees who are doing the research, know the context, have the expertise.
A notice from the National Institutes of Health says grant applications will be processed once government operations resume. Austin Dorff says the review panels can take months to reschedule. And as we mentioned at the top, Amazon confirmed this morning it'll lay off 14,000 corporate employees worldwide. It's the biggest round of cuts at the company since 2023, when 27,000 people lost their jobs. In a statement, one Amazon official said the layoffs, quote, represent a deep cleaning of Amazon's corporate workforce. To learn more about what's in store, especially here in Seattle, KUOW's AI and economy reporter Monica Nicholsberg talked with Kim Malcolm.
So tell me, why is Amazon making such steep cuts, and why now?
Well, as with all corporate statements, you kind of have to read between the lines a little bit. But I think, in 2 words, artificial intelligence. The longer explanation is Amazon is investing tens of billions of dollars to build data centers to train AI models across the country. And that capital has to come from somewhere. So it seems like they're looking at their workforce as a way to free up some money. And then the other thing that I think you can kind of infer from the statements that have been put out there is that Amazon believes it's going to be possible to do as much with fewer people. And I think the implication there is that some level of automation can make that possible.
Okay, so this is about AI investment. So what is Amazon planning? What is the goal?
Well, Amazon's data center infrastructure building spree is really focused on training these frontier models for their partner Anthropic. They make Claude. It's kind of a competitor to ChatGPT. But Amazon has a long history of doing this. They sell cloud computing services to corporate customers, and they've made a lot of money that way. There seems to be a lot of opportunity to expand that and supercharge it in the AI era. And so that's precipitated this project that they're calling Project Rainier, like the big mountain in their backyard that looms larger than everything else.
So about the job cuts, there was some reporting yesterday suggesting that the number would be closer to 30,000. Today's announcement, it's 14,000. That's still quite a few. But is this just the first salvo? Or, is there more to come?
I think that it's likely that there's more to come. So in the statement that Amazon put out, they said that going into 2026, it's likely that they'll be looking for more places to kind of find efficiency and reduce bureaucracy in layers, which is sort of corporate speak for trimming the fat.
Mm-hmm. Do we know yet how many people will be losing their jobs here in the Seattle area?
Amazon's not giving specifics on the kind of geographic breakdown of where these layoffs are occurring. I can tell you from talking with employees and being in sort of the internal message boards online, it seems like they're pretty spread out. People are reporting from Austin and Sunnyvale and Seattle. So I don't know that we can tell yet if there's sort of like one area that's going to be the hardest hit, but we're going to be keeping our eyes out for those state filings that let us know how many jobs in Washington are cut.
And for those who have lost their jobs, is there any kind of support for them from the company?
Yeah, Amazon is giving them 90 days to see if there's potentially another role within the company that they could get, and there'll be severance.
So I know you're in touch with folks who work there at Amazon, folks in the Amazon community. What are people telling you about these layoffs?
Well, these aren't the first layoffs or the second or the third in the past few years, and having this looming threat of losing your job for a long period of time hurts morale. I think people are feeling kind of despondent. A lot of them describe a culture that has changed quite a bit. At least 2 said they were kind of hoping to be laid off just to get that severance, but no longer be in that environment anymore. So I think it is having an impact on the culture for sure.
Stepping back, what do you think these layoffs could mean for the greater Seattle region?
This is something I've been thinking about a lot because for so many years, it seemed like tech was this engine of growth in Seattle that could never be stopped, that it was just the number was going to go up and to the right forever. And between 2023 and 2024, Amazon, for the first time in its history, slowed down its growth. It actually reported a decreased headcount, according to an analysis from GeekWire. That's never happened. I think with most big tech companies shrinking their headcounts, we might need to reckon as a region with what it means if tech stops growing in the same way here.
That was KUOW's AI and economy reporter Monica Nicholsberg talking with Kim Malcolm. Next time on Seattle Now, there's new information out about the murder of Antonio Mays Jr. at the Capitol Hill Occupy protest back in 2020.
It poses a very uncomfortable truth for both Seattle city officials and the protesters who were there that night.
We'll talk with Seattle Times reporter Sydney Brownstone Wednesday morning. And that's all for today from the KUOW newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst. The interview in today's episode was produced by John O'Brien, and I'm Ruby DeLuna. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. We'll see you later.